Hey everyone, thanks for your support in 2024. We have a lot of cool stuff coming in 2025, and here are some of the things you can look forward to as we move into next year. In the lead up to The Mandalorian and Grogu in 2026, we'll be starting a full series rewatch of both The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett on exploring hyperspace lanes beginning in October. You can also expect a rewatch of Andor, and we will have reviews of every episode of Andor and the rest of the Skeleton Crew as those come out. Josie will be returning as we continue to rank every Star Wars thing released ever. Reviews of every episode of every Marvel Disney Plus show, including Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, The Eyes of Wakanda, Wonder Man, Ironheart, Daredevil Born Again, and Marvel Zombies, the day after each episode releases, will be available on Beware of Spoilers. We'll be having special event podcasts on 30-minute reviews for the Academy Awards, our 2024 year in review in early January, ranking all of Phase 5 of the MCU after Fantastic Four First Steps comes out, and our 10th anniversary special. Once we complete our rankings of all the Pokemon games on the backlog files, we'll be moving on to Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. Over on the YouTube channel, you can join in for playthroughs of Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Pokemon White, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Sonic Adventure 2, LEGO Racers 2, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Want to keep on top of all the new things we have coming? Subscribe at mwpnews.com, subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/@mwpnews, or subscribe to Beware of Spoilers, 30-minute reviews, exploring hyperspace lanes, and the backlog files on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thank you for your support. Good evening and welcome to Beware of Spoilers. I am Adam on this, very, quiet, unseasonably warm, let's call it. Can we get, fucking with this fucking 900 fucking trucks I'm trying to get out? It is unseasonably warm today. It's 60 degrees out. I should have wore shorts to work. I didn't even think about it when I was getting ready. And then I'm there, I'm like, fuck, it's hot. But either way, here we are, and we are on our way home finally, after a long-ass day. But regardless, the point is, we're here to talk about Creature Commandos, episodes 4 and 5, I think. The fourth and fifth episodes of Creature Commandos, or the fourth and fifth, because there's 6 and 7 left. Yeah, so there's 2 episodes left, so this is 4 and 5. We're going to catch up today. And, I don't know, maybe it's just me. It's possible it's just me. These backstory episodes that they're doing, because, I don't think the episode with the backstory for G.I. Robot really hit either, and I think part of it comes from the fact that we're doing these, backstories and flashbacks where they're being broken up and they're not really being given the time to breathe because they're sharing screen time in an episode with so much other stuff going on. And then it's seeing the backstory for Weasel, I don't know if I needed that in the fourth episode. Yeah, fourth episode's backstory for Weasel. I don't know if I needed that. I don't know if I needed to be endeared to Weasel. I think that if they just didn't tell us what Weasel's crimes were, I feel that's the thing, is that he murdered this many children. It's oh, well, that's, it's something to be why he's in jail and why he's so dangerous. But then it's oh, he didn't actually do that though. So, whatever, it is what it is. That really didn't do anything for me. I'm interested in the world that they're setting up in this show. And I think that that's kind of the thing that I'm okay, things are starting to make sense a little bit for how the DC universe is going to work under James Gunn. It's clear that the DC universe is going to be one where, we are, it's kind of in media res. We're in the situation where we're already in this new universe. And there are certain things that are carrying over, certain things that are not. We've talked about that before, and how I think that that's going to be the big kind of issue here. It's going to be interesting, especially considering today's casting news, that Jason Momoa will be playing Lobo. Like, that's going to be the weird thing, and that's going to be the point where I don't know how people are going to deal with that. Like, I think there's going to be confusion in 2 weeks when the Fantastic Four trailer drops. Because let's be honest, the Fantastic Four trailer is dropping week 1 of the NFL playoff during Super Wildcard Weekend, and it's going to be dropping, It's going to be dropping during, It's going to be dropping during that game that happens on Monday Night Football. Like, I think that's a given. That's a very, that's a fair assumption, in my opinion. The issue with that is, it's like, we've already seen Reed Richards in the MCU. We saw him when they went to the Illuminati world, and the issue is, like, at what point if he's going to be in the Illuminati, like, that's going to be John Krasinski, like, is the audience going to be confused by a different Reed Richards now in Pedro Pascal? It's going to be interesting to see how that kind of plays out among the general audience. And again, that's the thing we're not talking about. We talk a lot about. We've seen in politics this idea that, like, the terminally online person compared to the actual person, which leads to these massive discrepancies in polling. It's and general feeling, which is how we are where we are right now. Don't even get me started on that. But it's going to be the same thing here. Now, when we have Jason Momoa, where the last time we saw him in a comic book movie from DC, he was playing Aquaman. Now, all of a sudden, he's playing Lobo. It's like, yeah, it's a good fit for him as a character. It probably should have been who they cast him as from the beginning when they were first casting, all of that for the DC EU. But it'll be interesting to see how that plays, especially in this world where Economos is in this show. And that's the big thing. Economos has a pretty solid-sized role in episode 4, where Economos is he's the liaison at Argus when they're dealing with Cersei. He is, like, to that end, like, we saw Economos in these other things, including in things that are directly related to where he played Aquaman. Peacemaker, where Jason Momoa was physically there as Aquaman in the same episode that is referenced here. Like, I get it. They're going to decanonize that, and I understand what they're going to do. Peacemaker is going to sit there, and there's going to be a thing where it's like, the Justice League never showed up. Like, what are you talking about? But at the same time, it's like, does the Justice League already exist in this world? Like, it appears so, because in the Flash, in the Flash forward that Cersei gives Waller, like, she shows this vision of the future where the Justice League are all dead and crucified. You see the Flash, you see Superman, you see Wonder Woman, you see Batman and all of that, and it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. So it's like, and Waller's not like, what the fuck is going on and who are all these people? She seems to be aware, and then also there was the idea of, we know that she has dealt with Superman and the Justice Society. So a lot of things here are kind of, interestingly in play in ways that I wouldn't necessarily expect. I am interested to see where they kind of go with this, because if you have Cersei working with Clayface, which is what it appears to be happening in this most recent episode, Cersei and Clayface are working together. Are we already building towards a Legion of Doom being in existence in the DCU? In which case, it's like, I think that's not a terrible idea. Like, I'm hesitant to praise that, because what's the worst that could happen? Like, you get what I'm saying with this? Like, the issue becomes, I keep fucking forgetting my notebook on my desk, too. And I need that notebook. Tomorrow I have to remember, because I'm not at work on Wednesday. But it's like, because that notebook has the notes for the Exploring Hyperspace Lanes episode with Josie. But the issue I have with this is, as you watch through this show, it's like, and it's kind of like what this show is more than anything else is laying out the groundwork for what the DCU is going to be. It's like, it is this well-lived-in world, and that's what sets it apart from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You have characters that predate, Iron Man. Captain America, Thor existed for millennia, Captain Marvel existed in the 90s, S.H.I.E.L.D. existed that far back, and has ties back to, what was it, SSI, whatever it was, the Secret Science Division of the U.S. military. Like, Hydra goes back that far. If you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Hydra goes back even further, but we're not going to talk about that. But by and large, what the point of all of this is that, like, the MCU, as we unfold, we learn things. And it's like, oh, okay, we're adding to this. Like, the Black Panthers have been around for as long as Wakanda's been around. It is this ancient society. The same goes for, like, the Ten Rings. Have been around forever. Like, these are all things that kind of don't bump into each other, but it's just expanding out. But it starts out very grounded with Iron Man. And it is kind of an interesting swap for this to be a world where it's like, boom, everything's already started. Superman's already a hero that everyone knows about. Here's Hawkgirl. Here is the Justice Society. Here's Mr. Terrific. Like, Batman is known enough that so are his villains, in so much as, like, Rick Flag knows who is. Rick Flag knows who Clayface is. Like, Cersei is a known entity. Themyscira is a known entity. It's one of those things where it's like, the show is just kind of laying out the groundwork for, like, what this. It is a great world building show because we're not dependent entirely on it to understand everything we need to know about this universe from beginning to end. But there's enough there where you can be like, oh, I know Superman. Like, when you get to Superman, you're going to feel a little bit more context. But hopefully Superman is free to stand on its own. Which we'll see what happens there. And I think it will, because I think a lot of what's being added here is just pure context. So it's like, oh, here's Gorilla Grodd. And again, it's like, Gorilla Grodd is a known entity, because it's like, you have this thing where it's like, Gorilla Grodd is teaming up with the princess, and look, Cersei was making all that shit up. Let's just get that out of the way. Like, the princess is not going to turn on, is not going to be the threat that Cersei makes her out to be. What is interesting, though, is what role does this princess have? Like, what is this princess trying, like, what is the significance of this world? Like, not world, of this country that has had kind of a Wakanda-like, it's kind of a Wakanda-like isolationism going on. And what is it about this country that is so needed to Cersei? And what is it about this woman that makes her a threat to Cersei, that Cersei's willing to go through all of this to have this specific princess killed? And that's kind of the interesting question that this show is kind of setting up more than anything else, is this question of, like, what is the point of this, for lack of a better word? Like, why, like, the why of this story has yet to actually be answered. It's like, we know Cersei is probably out there trying to take over the world. That's probably her plan, and we can figure that she has this army of guys that she's using, because, they're men's rights activists, and they're fucking clowns. To quote Leslie Knope, where are the male men? You're ridiculous. Like, men's rights is nothing. That is exactly what this is. And this idea that, like, she is, she's using them to try and take control of Themyscira, it's like, okay, sure. And I think that is kind of setting up what the Wonder Woman, or the Themyscira show is going to be. The Themyscira show is going to be the context around Cersei's exile. And then that's going to be why she goes through all these, all these means to get back, and what happened there. The question is, why is this princess so integral to this plan? who is she and what is she so important for? And I'm not a huge fan of the mystery box around a character. We've talked about this before. Like, this is kind of a big problem with the sequel trilogy, where it's like, the mystery box of the sequel trilogy is Rey. Like, who is Rey? What is her lineage and all of that? And I'm not a huge fan of that. Who is this princess? And what is her role going to be going forward? Is the question that I'm kind of like, let's see how this kind of, plays out. I'm interested to see where that goes. And I'm also interested to see how the audiences react to this. Because, like, not this show specifically, but, like... And that is kind of the thing, too, where it's like, this is a TV MA show that's on Max exclusively. It's not even on HBO, it's on Max. So, how many people are going to see this? So, I don't think it's going to factor too much into it. And the whole thing with, like... Eric Frankenstein. I do like what they're doing with this, but at the same time, it's going a little long in the tooth, if you ask me. We're getting a little bit too far into this story to have what's called Eric Frankenstein kind of still being the way he is, this obsessive. It's like, and because we're spending so much time with him, it's kind of getting annoying. And it's like, can we do... And David Harbour is great. And he's doing a great job with the role. But the question is, like, does this tie back in any meaningful way beyond just he really has this deep infatuation with the bride? And to that end, I don't know if there necessarily is going to be anything that's like, boom, we have it, this is what this is all about. Like, that's going to be the big question for me as we get toward the end of the show in the final 2 episodes, is like, does this have anything beyond just, he's just someone who really wants this one person on the team, and that's it. And if that's the case, then, like, alright, I can deal with that, but we'll see. What else have we got? I don't think we have really too much else to talk about with this. I'm enjoying it enough. I think this is a solid start to the DCU. And we'll be back later this week to finish out this run of this show. I'm not sure what our movie schedule is this week. I believe I have The Fire Inside scheduled for tomorrow, but we'll see, depending on Josie's schedule. Maybe we don't do that tomorrow. Maybe we record the year-end Exploring Hyperspace Lanes. We're probably going to do the in early January, the year in review in early January. But until then, have a great rest of your week.